I didn't like this song. Wait, don't leave just yet. Wait. When I first listened to it, I had some problems with this song. Now, admittedly, I don't know much of the context, and I heard this very much out of context and everything, and I'm very always open to changing my perspective. And that's why, today, we're doing an analysis of Through Patches of Violet from Limbus Company by Mili. I'm Corey, or Everything Fantasy, and I'm certain by the end of this, now that I analyze it and everything, actually look at this more deeply, I think I'm going to think of it very, very differently. It's really interesting that I can come to love a song just by doing an analysis of it when you notice all these kind of interesting smaller things that you didn't first realize at first glance. So, let's get straight into it.
How much I wish for another, better, happier.
Okay, so that's enough. We need to be able to work out the key of this song. With the vocalist, Cassie Way in this case, starting on a G. Can I just say to begin with, I do really, really like the violin in this. Like, Mili always do a fantastic job of utilizing the violin in their pieces with these kind of really elegant or sometimes very detached phrases that almost run as counter melodies to the main melody itself. It's really nice. I always really, really like it.
Brighter future, here I am at the gate I stand. Dear old times, I've made up my mind. How much you must have suffered, Lord. Figure one day, forward, sincere manners.
I love the question and answer phrases from the vocals. Da 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 da. It's very kind of, I'd expect to hear that sort of thing in like classical orchestral pieces of music, or even like romantic or something. It's rare nowadays that you hear that sort of thing. At least it's not particularly common, which is really, really interesting, I think. At some point, I should pay attention to the lyrics themselves. I think they probably reveal a lot in terms of what the vocalist is actually singing as well. But so far, I am actually really enjoying it, so I won't lie.
We are at the fated land where you want me round and round we go, holding on to pain, driven by our egos, feelings untold.
We changed key. Really, really subtly, we changed key, I've just noticed. Really interesting. We've now gone to D flat minor. So we've gone up one semitone. So before we were da 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 da, but now we are at. And I love the fact that this is now going back to the structure which we've known to come and love from Mili tracks in particular. In my reaction to Hero by Mili, I mentioned that a lot of Mili songs don't follow what I describe as kind of a conventional structure of verse, pre-chorus, chorus, link, etc. This is a really, really good example of that, because I'd struggle to pick out exactly what one would consider a verse to be in this case. Instead, I'd probably go back to using letters. So section A, B, C, this kind of feels like perhaps section C at this case. And I say this because sections of the song don't typically repeat. Or if they do, they're in a kind of really evolved and adapted way, which is why it's hard to call similar sections the same thing. It's actually quite a nice feature. It sounds like something which should almost be in like an opera than a traditional song. In a way that I really like. It's really cool.
Spinning our own visions of the past that you could never know. 'Cause I know I must be the reason why you have given up your smiles, and the hope inside your eyes have been stolen. I must be the reason why you must.
An interesting mix difference compared to previous tracks is the drums in this instance. So we have a drum beat that's something like. Which is interesting because the way it's actually mixed in the song is that the kick drum is actually quite faint on this occasion, which usually it isn't. Just an interesting difference. I think they're really going for upfront vocals, strong melodic and harmonic phrases as opposed to kind of percussion driving the thing. We do have that really deep and low bass line, played by a synth bass in this instance, just kind of really pulsating, opposed to kind of that. I really like, it's a very, not so subtle, but it's a very kind of unexpected thing to have the violin distorted like that. The violin that's panned to the right of our ears has a lot of distortion on it in the way that kind of makes it sound almost like guitar-esque in a way in terms of how it sounds. It's slightly uncomfortable, but in a really, really good way. I love the fact that it ends with, let's try and figure out what it ends with. It goes da-da. There we go. I'm now curious if we're going to stay in D flat minor or go back to C minor, which is where we started at the beginning of the track. Or are we going to go somewhere entirely different? Again, one of the magic beauties and magic gems of Mili songs in particular is that you never really know where they're going to go. So let's see what happens. Okay, we've stayed in the same key.
It's a final chance with your hand to what must be done.
I love how I've just stopped on the word delete accidentally. I like the fact that the vocals themselves, so there's an obsession with perfection in music production where things have to be aligned perfectly. When a harmony is supplementing the melody in terms of vocals, they have to happen at the same time. It has to go. It can't be like. Things have to kind of coincide together. But there's something beautiful almost in those imperfections. I know they're intentional, where the vocals that are panned right happen first, and the vocals that are panned left happen kind of immediately after, kind of delayed by a second. But it adds to the discomfort feeling that I think we all feel when we're listening to this, especially if you know the context. I don't even know the context, and I'm already uncomfortable. Imagine how I'd feel if I did know the context. It's like listening to From a Place of Love with no knowledge whatsoever, but still, you just kind of feel uncomfortable that this isn't how it should sound. I really like the pan automation on delete. We hear delete kind of appearing in multiple places in the stereo image. So delete, 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 delete kind of thing. That's really cool. We also have a kind of a bit more of a prominent drum kit at the moment now with the hi-hats playing. I don't think I've heard the hi-hats yet throughout this piece, but it's like... It's really nice. I'd kind of... If anything, I would expect this section to have slightly more energy than it actually does. But I don't think that's the point in some level as well. I think it serves its purpose really, really well. Okay, now we've got the energy anyway. Vocals come back in. There we go. Da, 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 da. My favorite feature of that, ironically, is as much as I love the vocals and what they do, both in terms of production and the overall kind of the style of delivery, the fact that we have the higher vocal line, the one going da da da, we also have the low one going da da da, kind of like balancing against each other, but they almost feel as powerful as each other. Like there's not really a main dominant melody and a kind of sub-dominant. They're kind of both functioning in the same way, which is really, really nice. I like the way they're panned as well. But the main thing is that violin. As someone that listens to kind of like and pays attention to the really subtle things and sometimes misses the obvious thing, like the lyrics in this instance, which could be a whole nother video in and of itself. But that violin kind of just throughout the entire thing, having such a strong presence, and also the use of that distortion as well on the violin, I think is incredibly powerful. Somewhat inspiring in a sense. I'm kind of thinking to myself, for my own tracks, is there any room where I can incorporate that kind of thing? I'm working on a track which was performed by a live violinist at the moment. Maybe I should add a distorted violin. That could make it more uncomfortable. As usual, as we come to expect and love from Mili, they're amazing at making us feel uncomfortable using very, very subtle devices. Because if someone typically says to you, okay, you have to make a piece of music and it's got to sound really melodramatic and really sad and uncomfortable and uneasy, you kind of bring out the massive orchestra with loads of violins and stuff like that. Mili shows us that we don't really need that. We just need vocals that kind of occasionally play the odd chromatic note and things like that. That's really what's going to function to make us feel most uncomfortable. But beyond that, the whole production was just amazing. Like, you can never criticize a production from a Mili track. Like, it's just always incredible. And the way they put their songs together, it's just... I'm kind of just sitting here as a fellow composer thinking, just wow. Just wow. There's so much to learn and take inspiration from this. As usual, I love to know more backstory, the meaning of the lyrics, in a non-spoiler way, as much as possible. And always, any other suggestions of other tracks you want me to analyze too, I'd love to hear your suggestions down below. But for now, thanks for watching, and take care till the next one.